Hey guys! So as you might know from my last video, I was in LA for about 10 days, so I spent a lot of time doing some sightseeing and doing some tours, but I also went to VidCon, which is the annual YouTube convention that takes place in Anaheim. I had an absolutely amazing time. Meeting all these different YouTubers and fellow booktubers was amazing, and I've created some memories I will never forget. But now I'm even more excited to make more content for you guys and upload more videos, so without further ado, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about the books I read in July, and I read 12 in total, so I'm going to get started or else this is going to be a pretty long video. Let me know in the comments below what you read last month or this week or what you're reading right now. I'd love to hear your bookish updates. So without further ado, thank you so much for watching, and let's get started with the books that I read last month. Also keep in mind that the Booktubeathon was last month, which is why there's a lot of books because I read 6 just in that week. If you want to see that video, I'll leave it down below because I go in more details with those books and I'll go a little bit faster in this one. So if you want to know more about the books, I'll leave the link down below. You can check out those books and more thoughts that I have on them because I won't go into too much depth because I already did that in that video. So now we will finally talk about the books I read in July. The first book that I finished in July was Eleanor and Park, and this is by Rowell, and I did a review on this, so if you want to know more about it, I'll leave it down below as well because I go a lot into depth on it and I rave about it and rant and just talk about how much I love it. I totally gush over it, so if you want to see more about it, please watch my review. It's very special, something that's just one of a kind. It's one of those novels you'll never forget and you'll want to read over and over again. It was beautiful, touching, and so heartwarming. I gave it a 5 out of 5. Please check it out if you haven't read it. Alright guys, so the second book I finished in July is called Chosen at Nightfall, and this is by C.C. Hunter, and it's the final book in the Shadowed Fall series. As you guys know, or might not know, I love this series. It's so light, so much fun, and it was really exciting to get into this book because, like I said, it's the final one, so I was really pumped to see how the series would conclude and what would happen. It was super good. Wouldn't change a thing. I liked it. It was decent, not amazing, but that's not what I look for in these books. It just is what it is, and I appreciate it for that, so I gave it a 5 out of 5. I think it's one of the strongest books in the series. Kind of sad it's over, but they're gonna make the C.C. Hunter's gonna write another series that takes place with one of the characters in the same world, so I'm super excited for that. So the third book that I read in July is called The Moon and More, and this is by Dessen, and this is one of her many novels, and I have to say that it's not my favorite. I didn't love it. There's definitely more of her books that I liked a lot more. But it is what it is. It was okay, it was decent. I liked the main character, but a lot of the surrounding main characters I found a little underdeveloped and not that relatable in a way. So for that reason, it wasn't one of my favorites at all. So overall, I think I'd give it around a 3.5 out of 5 to a 4 if I'm being generous. I'm not really sure. All I know is that I didn't really love it. I just couldn't really get into it and really captivated, so I wasn't completely invested in the characters and the plot, but it was nice, it was unique, and it was a really good summer read. Alright guys, so the next book I finished in July is actually a graphic novel, and it's Vampire Academy by Richelle Mead, and it is illustrated by Emma Vicelli. I don't know if I said that right. But the drawings were actually pretty good. I wasn't a fan of some of the ways it was done, but it was pretty good for how it was done. I didn't love it, but I didn't really mind it either. But yeah, I mean, obviously the story's amazing. As you know, I love the Vampire Academy series, so you can't really go wrong if it's just drawn out. Of course, it was fast-paced. It's the same as the actual novel, but obviously the novel's better. But it was fun to see how it was drawn out and displayed and done in a graphic novel for sure. I wouldn't recommend this 100% because it's not really necessary in a way if you have the series, but it is cool to see how it's drawn out and done. It was good, it was cool, it was fun, and I'm definitely going to get the second one because I just like having them, and I think they're cool to have beside the series on your bookshelf. The fifth book that I read is Choker by Elizabeth Woods, and I picked it up because I was in the mood for something different, a little scary, and just something I hadn't read before, and I had this on my bookshelf for a very, very long time, so I was interested to see what I had been missing out this whole entire time. I mean, it wasn't the best book, but just the way things happened totally creeped me out, and that's why it really amazed me because I was so scared. I read this before I went to bed once, and it took me a while to fall asleep. I didn't love it. I'd say I give it around a 4 out of 5, like a 3-ish to a 4-ish. I don't know, but in between there. somewhere amidst that, but it was decent. It was a quick read. I'd recommend it if you want to be spooked out easily. It's pretty cool, really unique, and really interesting. And this is where I started reading books for the Booktubeathon, so I'm going to go with them a little fast in a way because I did talk about these already, so if you want to see more depth on them, I'll leave them down below like I said before. Alright, so the first book of the Booktubeathon and my 6th book of the month was The Immortal Rules by Julie Kagawa. I talk about this book so much. One of my favorite, if not my favorite vampire novel ever. Loved it. Rereading it was awesome. 5 out of 5. I loved it. Totally got me into reading even more in the month of July, and it was amazing. So please check it out. It's phenomenal. So then the 7th book of the month and the second one of the Booktubeathon was Sever, and this is by Lauren DeStefano and the final book in the Chemical Gardens trilogy. I really liked it actually. It was fast paced, it was a pretty quick read, and I just flew through it, and I was really into it because I wanted to see how everything ended. I was really pleased with it. All the characters were just grown in a way that I was really happy with, and overall it was satisfying and exactly what I looked for. In ways it could have been different, but overall I'm very happy with this as well as the whole series. The 8th book that I read in July, as well as the 3rd book in the Booktubeathon, was actually an audiobook, and it was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and I really enjoyed it. It's my first ever audiobook that I listened to ever in my life, so that was interesting. It was the first book I read by her, so that was also a great experience. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I just loved everything about it. It was so enjoyable, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to kind of be pushed to read that because I probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for the Booktubeathon, so that was awesome. I really loved it. Alright, so the 9th book I finished in July, as well as the next book in my Booktubeathon reads, was 13 to Life. I really enjoyed this. It was on my shelf for so long, so picking it up was kind of weird for me because I hadn't remembered what it was about, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it because I had this for years and years. But honestly, I loved it. I could not put it down. I gave it a 5 out of 5 because it was so enjoyable. Definitely check it out. I want to get the next book in this series and as well as the rest. It's so good, so captivating. I loved it. Alright, so the next book I read in July, as well as the next Booktubeathon read that I read, was Bruiser, and it's by Neal Shusterman, and I loved it. It was phenomenal. The way it was done, the way it was written was thought-provoking and emotional, and I fell in love with it instantly. It was phenomenal and incredible and amazing, and I would definitely recommend it. I gave it a 5 out of 5, and I'm sure you guys will love it as well. Alright, so the next read of July, as well as the next book I read for the Booktubeathon, was The White Cat by Holly Black, and I don't know how I feel about this book. It was okay. I kind of liked it. I only gave it a 3 out of 5 because I wasn't totally in love with it at all. It was decent. It was okay. Didn't love it, didn't hate it, didn't mind it. I'm pretty neutral about it, so for that reason, I don't know if I'd recommend it because it was a little weird in my opinion, but the plot was actually cool. Some elements were really unique, but I just didn't like the main character or much of any other characters in the book. I'm not too sure if I'll read any more in this series, or I don't know. I'm not really sure. Those were all the books that I read for the Booktubeathon, so that brought my total to 11, and now the 12th book that I read is my favorite book of the whole month. It was The Eternity Cure by Julie Kagawa. And honestly, I did not think it was possible for me to like the sequel more than the first book, but Julie Kagawa proved me wrong. I was blown away. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. If you didn't know, this is the sequel to The Immortal Rules, which I mentioned in the beginning of my video. Oh, I cannot put into words how phenomenal this book was. The first chunk of it is amazing, the second chunk is even better, and the ending is just so powerful, and it just makes you want to just punch a wall and go cry and go scream and just go, I don't know, just so many feels and emotions in this book. It was really hard for me. I read most of this on the plane. I'm just sitting there in my chair like trying not to cause a scene and be a distraction and to wake people up, but it was pretty hard, but so good. I gave it a 5 out of 5, as you probably could tell. Phenomenal. I love this series. I cannot wait for the next book. I can hardly just even contain myself, so definitely check out the series. It is amazing. Alright guys, so that's it for my July reads of 2013. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any more questions, definitely let me know down below and I will answer them as soon as I can. I have some really fun videos coming up for you guys. I have a few in mind. I might go over my trip to LA and VidCon if you want, so if you want to hear about that, let me know because I'm not sure if it's a video you guys would want to see, and I'm not really sure, but if you want to, definitely let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!